So we headed down to the trail towards the chapel, and sure enough, there's a young bald eagle perched on a sign. There's no other way to the shrine but walking directly by this eagle, so I recorded as we walked by just in case it decided to fly off. But it didn't, and it was super chill with us the entire time. Due to the width of the trail, we couldn't have been more than a few feet from it. This honestly turned into one of the main highlights of the trip for all of us. Today's port turned into one of our favorite and most memorable stops of this trip. Today we were going to be in Juneau, and it was going to be a wet one today. Since we packed today with so much nonstop exploring, I ended up not pulling the camera out at all to talk to it, so this is going to be a voiceover episode. As I have mentioned before, we love using this site called Atlas Obscura to find places to see while we're traveling, and it turned out that Juneau had a lot of these sites, the first of which was right on the pier heading into town. The Patsy Ann statue is in place on the pier to remember the beloved bull terrier who would greet every ship getting into port. I love this so much as the nose and head are so heavily bronzed from all the people who can't help but give this pup a little nose rub or head scratch. Since there were so many Atlas sites just outside of Juneau, we had the intention of either getting a private Uber for the day or renting a car. But first we decided to check out the Native Museum in town. Though not a huge museum, it was absolutely beautifully set up. They had some displays from various tools and fishing instruments, as well as many displays of gorgeous clothing and art. After our visit to the museum, it was time to see about an Uber. So we ordered it to the first stop for us and we waited. About 5 minutes later, we were in the car with the best Uber driver we have ever had. We hit it off immediately and made the offer to see about hiring him for the day. He said absolutely, turned off the app, and we headed out. We explained what we wanted to see and headed to our first stop at the Last Chance Mining Museum. This old gold mine was running until 1944 when they lost all the workers to the war. You can stroll through the woods here and see some of the remnants of the old machinery, though the mine itself is completely closed off. It is still a cool, quick stop. After this, we headed to probably the most frequented stop by tourists, the Mendenhall Glacier. This is probably the most popular glacier in all of Alaska. This was also the first of many glaciers we were about to see on this trip. Though we could barely see it through the fog, it was still worth a stop. En route to our next stop, at the Shrine of St. Theresa, our guide made a quick stop at Eagle Beach. This beach was full of dozens of eagles, though we were a bit far away so we could really only see them through the binoculars. But then we show up to the shrine and are told by someone that was leaving that there's a young bald eagle on the trail. So we headed down to the trail towards the chapel, and sure enough, there's a young bald eagle perched on a sign. There's no other way to the shrine but walking directly by this eagle, so I recorded as we walked by just in case it decided to fly off. But it didn't, and it was super chill with us the entire time. Due to the width of the trail, we couldn't have been more than a few feet from it. This honestly turned into one of the main highlights of the trip for all of us. After we went by the eagle and onto the island, we could see the old stone chapel tucked in a little pocket of woods. The shrine started its construction in the 1930s and is in dedication to the 19th century French nun Saint Theresa. While walking around the chapel, I saw a guy looking out at the water. So I went to look over the edge to see what he was looking at, and there were a couple of seals swimming along the edge of the island. When we were walking back to the car, the eagle was still perched there. You're so handsome. We then headed on to our next stop at Reliable Sheet Metal. Why a sheet metal shop? For the Wizard of Oz display on the roof that the owner is constantly adding to over the years. We had one more Atlas Obscura site we were going to see after this. On the way to that, our awesome guide stopped at a salmon hatchery, fishery, not exactly sure what it was. But there were a few more seals here taking advantage of some easy food. My favorite was just chilling on his back most of the time. Our last stop was at the Treadwell mining ruins. These overgrown ruins, being reclaimed by nature, are tucked away down an easy trail just across from the cruise ship port. We spent a little bit of time exploring these ruins in the woods surrounded by waterfalls.
That's a big slug.
Then headed back to our car a slightly different way and walked out to the beach. I did not expect to see a beach like this in Alaska. We asked the guide if this headed back to the car. He said it did, so we decided to walk the beach back. So we have spent the entire day off of a ship in Juneau. We actually got a private Uber driver, I guess you could say, because we ordered an Uber, offered him a bunch of money to just be our driver for the day, and he's taking us around, showing us all the sites, taking us to all the Atlas Obscura sites we wanted to go see. And I haven't been talking while we were there because he was actually a tour guide and like really gave us a bunch of information. So I obviously voiceovered this pretty much entire episode. Reaching here at the end, walking down the beach. I never thought I'd be at a beach in Alaska, but it's absolutely beautiful out here. We just hit my mom's 700th Atlas Obscura site. We're now heading back to our vehicle to head back to our ship. Tomorrow we're going to Skagway. We don't really have much to see or do or whatever planned there. We're actually probably just going to wander the town a little bit, and then that's it. I'll show you maybe a little bit of it, but that's going to be our most boring stop. And then we're going to be sailing through the glaciers. I see a bunch of paw prints. I'm not sure what they are. Thinking they might be just some people's dogs, but can't quite tell because of the way the sand washes away. But anyways, so not sure what I'll be showing you at Skagway at our next stop, but this whole trip through Juneau was pretty incredible, even though it's literally been raining the entire day. And if you've watched the whole video and you haven't already, hit that like button down below, subscribe, and I'll be showing you, hey pup, you're so friendly. I just had a husky run up to me just to give me some sniffs. But if you haven't already, hit the like button down below, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Oh. That husky is so freaking adorable. It's so friendly, just running up and down the beach. Ran up to me a couple times. It just howled at me. I love it. Oh, Alaska is freaking beautiful. I mean, even though it's pouring down rain, well, not pouring down rain, it's been a constant drizzle for 8 hours. So, again, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.